The Trumpet Daily from Jerusalem.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Trumpet Daily. Following Israel's 8-day war with Hamas in November, the pace of prophetic events has certainly accelerated here in Israel. On November 29th, the UN General Assembly upgraded the status of the Palestinian Authority to a non-member observer state, not an entity, a state. The vote was held on November 29th because that happened to be the 65th anniversary of the UN's recognition of Israel as a state. Now, 138 nations voted in favor of the Palestinian resolution, which was a huge majority. Only 9 countries opposed the resolution, the major opposition coming from the United States, Canada, the Czech Republic, and Israel, of course. Israel harshly criticized the resolution, saying it will hurt the peace process. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton called the vote unfortunate and counterproductive. A Palestinian state, opponents of the resolution have said, should only emerge out of bilateral negotiations as set forth in the 1993 Oslo Peace Accords. Now, while the recent UN resolution does not grant statehood or independence to the Palestinians, it is a significant diplomatic score for them. It means the Palestinians can now take part in UN debates and even join the International Criminal Court and potentially prosecute Israel for war crimes. They might also seek to resolve territorial disputes through the International Court of Justice. Now, the day after the UN elevated the status of the PA, Israel announced plans to build 3,000 homes in East Jerusalem, a move that immediately triggered an international outcry, even from those few nations that supported Israel at that recent UN resolution. White House spokesman Jay Carney said on December 3rd, "We oppose, as we long have, Israeli settlement activity and construction in East Jerusalem because they are counterproductive to what we believe is the goal here, which is Israel and Palestinian states side by side living in security and freedom." British Foreign Secretary William Hague warned in the British Parliament that the settlement plans make a two-state solution with Jerusalem as a shared capital almost inconceivable. Now, when Israel made that announcement about the new construction, a whole host of nations summoned the Israeli ambassadors to their respective countries for rebuke and to demand an explanation. Here in this region, Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority, he condemned the construction, calling it a red line that must not happen. And a senior Abbas aide even threatened to use the Palestinians' newly established legal and diplomatic clout to take Israel to the International Criminal Court for war crimes. So far, Israel has refused to yield to this international pressure. Now, there's 2 prophecies here that you need to be aware of with respect to these recent developments. First, there's the prophesied division of Jerusalem, which we've talked about so many times. It's mentioned in Zechariah 14 and verse 2. God says a violent conflict will lead to radical Islam gaining control of East Jerusalem, half of this city. Now, let me take you back to a statement that my father made on the Key of David program. This was from January 6th, 2006. And in referring to that prophecy in Zechariah, he stressed that Jerusalem, half the city, will be taken by force. Now, for many years leading up to that particular Key of David episode, Israel had been led by left-wing governments that wanted to give away land to the Palestinians, thinking that that would lead to peace. But because God says East Jerusalem would be taken by force, my father said that that probably indicated a more conservative government would likely be voted in Israel, setting the stage for this armed conflict. And of course, that's what's happened since he had that episode in 2006. And since that time, of course, the Land for Peace strategy has also been just thoroughly discredited. Peace talks between the Palestinians and Israel have completely broken down. So the stage is certainly set for this violent confrontation that Zechariah 14 speaks about. Now, the other prophecy that you need to be aware of is found in Hosea 5 and verse 13. In that passage, God says a severely weakened and isolated Israel will turn to Germany in desperation for help in keeping peace in this region. Now, for many years, while we were giving you that forecast, it seemed very unlikely, but today this forecast is visibly becoming more plausible and likely. With each passing day, you're beginning to read about it in the newspapers, and you're going to be reading about it a whole lot more in the months ahead. To understand this important biblical forecast and the inspiring future of Jerusalem that lies beyond it, be sure to read or request your personal copy of our free booklet, Jerusalem in Prophecy. Thank you for joining us today. This is Stephen Flurry reporting from Jerusalem.